to realize. "I wouldn't spread that around, Bunny," Illyria told him. "It isn't really necessary for them to know how far it is from Land to Dhrall, and the beloved doesn't really want them to find out. She needs an army, and the people she wants might not want to go that far away from home." "How did we get there so fast?" Rabbit demanded. "The beloved can make things happen when she wants them to happen, Bunny," Illyria replied. "Do you really want to know exactly how she does that?" That seemed to jerk Rabbit up short. He swallowed hard. He faltered. "No, I don't think so." "Isn't he nice?" Illyria said to Longbow. Then she squirmed down from the big Dhrall's lap and approached the small Marg. "Kiss, kiss, Bunny," she said. "What?" Rabbit sounded very confused. "It's one of her habits," Longbow told him. "It's not too painful, and it makes her happy, so we all put up with it." "Shush, Longbow," Illyria said. Then she wrapped her arms about Rabbit's neck and kissed him soundly. "You really ought to take a bath, Bunny," she told him, wrinkling her nose. "I washed off no more than a month ago," he protested. "It's time to do it again, Bunny. Soon. Please?" The weather turned sour, and it was blustery and rainy for the next 2 days as the Seagull doggedly pushed her way west. Longbow was accustomed to rain, since the northwest coast of the Land of Dhrall was the native home of rain. The Marg sailor seemed dispirited by the weather, though, and the mood on board the Seagull was gloomy, until the coast of Marg, hazy and indistinct in the steady drizzle, appeared on the western horizon. The Marg town of Weros stood at the head of a narrow inlet, and the Seagull's oarsmen took their places without the usual grumbling, despite the weather. Coming home after a long time seemed to brighten things for sailors. Weros was a sizable town, though the houses all seemed jammed tightly together, almost as if the inhabitants were afraid to be alone. The muddy streets wandered about aimlessly, strongly suggesting that the people who lived there had made it up as they'd gone along. Most of the buildings were constructed of squared-off logs, and they appeared to be more substantial than the lodges of Old Bear's tribe back in Dhrall. Iron tools, it seemed, made better houses. A pall of smoke drifted out from the town, obscuring the nearby fields. Long piers extended from the water's edge, and there were many Marg longships tied to the piers, or anchored some distance out in the harbour. As the Seagull approached the town, an eddy in the wind carried a rancid smell out across the water. Longbow's nostrils were very acute because he was a hunter, and he hoped that they wouldn't have to stay in Weros for very long. The sailors dropped heavy iron anchors off both ends of the Seagull, and Illyria came looking for Longbow. "The beloved asked me to find you," she told him. "Hookbig wants to tell us how he intends to use gold to persuade other Marg ship captains that it might be nice to visit the Land of Dhrall. The Margs all seem to find square lumps of gold very pretty, and they'll do almost anything to get their hands on as many of them as their ships can carry." "Owning things seems very important to the Margs, doesn't it?" Longbow observed. "That makes things easy for us, though, doesn't it? They'll do what we want them to do so that they can own gold, but we end up owning them instead. Let's go see what Hookbig has to say." Illyria held out her arms to him. "You can carry me if you like." "Of course," Longbow said, taking her up in his arms, although he knew that it was part of her game and that it played an important part in persuading people to do what she wanted them to do. Zelana commanded, but Illyria charmed. The intent and results were usually the same, but Illyria's approach was more pleasant, and usually more effective. Longbow carried Illyria to Sorgan's cabin at the stern of the Seagull. Ox and Ham-Hand were already there, as was Redbeard. "The best way I know to get people's attention in a hurry is to show them gold," Sorgan was saying, "and this is the way we're going to do that. Ox, I want you and Ham-Hand to spread the word that the Seagull's got stacks and stacks of gold blocks down in her hold. They probably won't believe you, which is right down at the core of our little scheme. As soon as some ship captain says that he thinks you're lying, tell him that you'll be happy to show him, if he'd like. Don't bring any ordinary seamen or tavern loafers out here, and don't waste my time on the ones who call themselves captains."